Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Gavin. I am hanging out at my place right now, and I had some thoughts. I'm really involved in my local music scene. I'm a musician. I play drums. I am also a concert promoter, and I love the local music scene. But there's certain things I notice. There's certain habits that I've noticed over time. Playing shows now. I'm in my mid-30s, so I've been playing shows for almost 20 years now. The industry has evolved. And I'd like to just kind of touch base on some items that I feel like musicians maybe they need just some enlightening on. I hate to say you need to be educated because everyone who ever says that you end up sounding like a dick. But I think maybe some people just don't know any better, and that's with, for example, bands that want to get paid to play a show but they have no draw. So what do? Well, all right. You want to play to an audience, but you don't have an audience. So you want to play to somebody else's audience. So this is where I see at odds, you have the venue and you have the musicians, or you may have the promoter. Because promoters, they get shit on all the time. These promoters are just greedy. They're in it for themselves. To which I say, run your own show then. You don't have to have a promoter. Promoters have the connections and they do all the back end work that a lot of people aren't aware of. Where they have to put the deposits on things. They have to reach out to the other bands. They have to facilitate any agreements on what the payout's going to be, etc. They have to take care of maybe the logistics, such as the tickets, etc. That all said, when I see bands that end up drawing 0 to 5 people, and those 5 people usually are the girlfriends or that one coworker that you brought in, why should you feel entitled to play a 9 o'clock slot? Why should you be entitled to be paid $100 where you're not bringing anyone to the bar or the venue? Now, on the bar side too, they need to promote too, and promoters need to promote. But if they're doing their due diligence and you expect to be paid, well, that's where a compromise needs to be made. And that's where tickets really are beneficial for all parties. Bands get paid. The promoter knows that they're going to have a certain headcount in there, and then the bar is going to want to work with those bands and those promoters again. So I think it's important that everyone works together, because I hear and I see it on social media all the time where people say fuck pay to play. There's a difference between pay to play and selling tickets, but I think unfortunately it gets convoluted. Now, if you are selling tickets to an event, if you have a show and it's expected that, hey, if you want to play this venue, that we have to pay the sound guy, we have to pay the bartenders, we have to pay, et cetera, et cetera. We have to make sure you're bringing in at least 10 people. Because some bands, if they don't have tickets to sell, they bring nobody. I've seen it myself. I've been in bands in the past where it's like, oh shit, we only brought 3 people. And then the promoter's frowning. The bar owner's frowning. So you have to look at it from all angles. So really, I think tickets aren't a bad thing. I think that's what it comes down to. If you are able to bring in 20 people, the promoter's going to work with you again. The bar's happy because they have people drinking. You make money. But if you bring in 0 people, or if you bring in, whatever, your girlfriends, your wives, etc., but you end up only having that amount of people, well, the bar can only make X amount, and then how do you expect them to pay you? Now, I know, to play the devil's advocate against myself, shouldn't the bar already have people there? Yes and no. If it's a bar that generally doesn't facilitate music, maybe they will have an audience. But if it's generally a venue that's known for having concerts, people are going to follow where the shows are, and they're going to follow, what has a following. This is not the 80s, this isn't the 90s, or even the first half of the 2000s where, you have a built-in audience. That doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anywhere. It's not happening in New York, LA, or even here in Phoenix. So you have to have a draw. You have to have a following. So that's why tickets are good. So bands, don't feel bad if you have to sell tickets in order to, or don't be mad at it either. Tickets are your friends. The fact of the matter is you gotta hustle. And I think I don't want to say the word entitlement because that's annoying, and it sounds like you damn millennials, you're so entitled. But the amount of people that don't get that, you have to have a draw. You have to have people coming in for it to be worth the while of a promoter or a bar to have your band there. Otherwise, you want to be paid to have fun. And that's going to get old really quick. because that bar will go out of business, that promoter will go bankrupt, and then there's nothing. Then you're on your own, trying to find just another local venue and wondering why you can't get paid. If it's your hobby, that's fine. But if you want to be paid to play your music, your art, to show it, you've got to show a value in it. So also by having tickets and showing people are coming through, it shows a tangible value. Like my band, whatever, fill in the blank ABC band, brings in 30 people. Well, great. That shows a value to the bar and the promoter. Like these people have a following. If my band is not required to sell tickets and we only have 4 people walk in, the bar and the promoter, they're just going to look at each other and be like, all right, great. This is embarrassing. So really, bands need to suck it up and sell tickets or build a following before you ask to play that 9 o'clock slot, and before you ask to be paid, $100 for a gig that, you have more band members than you have audience members. Bars, you got to step it up though too. You got to promote events. Be aware of what the promoters are putting together. Be aware of what the bands that are drawing. Research. See what you're working with. Too many people just expect somebody else to take care of it. It's a game of hot potato. And as long as it's that, it's going to be a mess because someone's going to drop the ball. And I know from experience being a band, being a promoter, I've never owned a venue. I'd like to one day. But anyway, those are my thoughts. Leave your comments below. I invite all opinions. I know some people may say, oh, well, who are you? Dude, I'm a fan of music. I'm a face on the internet. So I appreciate you checking everything out. And, hit the like button if you don't mind. Hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be talking about more subjects pertaining to the music industry and just, life in general here in Arizona. So thanks again and have a good weekend.